Act of 1870, the Act of 1870, chapter 254, 16 stat 236, permitted the naturalization of aliens of African nativity and persons of African descent. Somebody look at your neighbor and say, nah, because our documents go back way before 1870. Somebody look at your neighbor and say, no, because we was already written in the Constitution in the 1860s. Somebody look at your neighbor and say, no, because my family heirs property was 1832. Look at your neighbor and say, no, because Queen Janice found my family in the 1700s. She found my family in the 1600s. She found her own family in the 1400s. Look at your neighbor and say the Africans wasn't even over here during that time. Look at your neighbor and say the babies of slaves didn't have shit to do with Africans. Also look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, that's why these goofy half historian people always say, oh, we can't trace our files past 1870. There's an 1870 wall. I just want you to look at your neighbor right now. I just want you to look at your neighbor and say anything at this point. Say ooh, ee, ooh, tang, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Whatever you want to say. Read. The Act of 1870, chapter 254, 16 stat 236, permitted the naturalization of aliens of African nativity and persons of African descent. So that means the 14th Amendment, babies of slaves, had nothing to do with people who were from Africa or people with African descent. Just like I read y'all the notes when the actual amendments were taking place. 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment. I read the notes from the senators who were writing these things. And they said in the notes to make these people citizens because they wasn't born nowhere else but here. The files exist. It's just up to the researchers to find them. So when I launched U.S. Lineage, which this will pull from a myriad of databases, NARA, of course, Ancestry, Fold3, and it's going to also pull from my personal database. So it's a lot of databases. In my personal database, I got CIA files, FBI files, a lot of stuff that was once classified that's now declassified, a lot of stuff that's declassified under the radar that you don't even know that's declassified. A lot of that stuff is in my archive that's separate, but you'll get to see it on here, right? You got the most dangerous sight to the powerful establishment ever. You are a treasure and need all the protection